President Anton Kazarin was more than a leader. He was a symbol of the nation's heart, its hope. So when the news broke that he had fallen gravely ill, the country fell into collective mourning. For weeks, the media only broadcast cryptic updates, carefully chosen words that offered little clarity but deepened the unease. Then, against all odds, Kazarin returned. The man who had been at death's door was suddenly revitalized, stronger than ever. He appeared on every screen, shaking hands with officials, visiting communities, giving speeches. But there was something too polished about him now, as though he had been remade, not by the illness, but by something far worse. For Sarah Evans, an investigative reporter with a penchant for unearthing political secrets, something about his miraculous recovery didn't sit right. The Kazarin she had followed for years was warm but flawed, a man of quiet charisma. But this new version, the way he moved, the way his eyes seemed to scan rooms without ever truly seeing, set off alarm bells in her mind. Then came the encrypted email. No subject line, no name, just a string of words that sent chills through her spine. He never recovered. Kazarin is dead, there's more. The message was signed Helios. It claimed to have undeniable proof that the president had been replaced by something not from this world. Sarah's heart raced as she read the message again and again. She wanted to dismiss it, to chalk it up to some conspiracy nut, but her gut told her there was something here, something dark and real. Act 2, Into the Depths. Against her better judgment, Sarah arranged to meet Helios in a desolate part of the city. When she arrived, she found a man waiting in the shadows, face obscured by a hat pulled low. He handed her a folder without saying a word. Flipping through it, Sarah's stomach churned. Inside were documents marked classified, hospital records, and security footage showing President Kazarin's final moments. She stared at the images, doctors rushing in, scrambling to save him, and then the footage cut to black. What happened after this? She whispered, eyes still locked on the folder. He didn't leave that hospital alive, Helios muttered. What you see now, that's not him. Her hands trembled. What are you talking about? It's not just him. They're here. They're replacing key figures slowly, methodically. And it's already begun. Sarah's head spun. She had heard wild theories in her career, but none had hit her this hard. There was something terrifying about the certainty in Helios's voice. What do they want? They're not here to take over. They don't need to, Helios said, his voice hollow. They're here to make us irrelevant. Quietly, patiently, one by one. Sarah's mind raced. Her life had been built on facts, uncovering lies. But this was something else. She wanted to dismiss him, to walk away and forget the entire thing. But something about the way Helios spoke, his calm, emotionless tone, made it feel too real to ignore. Act 3, The Last Stand. In the following days, Sarah tried to piece everything together. The hospital records were sealed tight. Any attempts to talk to people in Kazarin's inner circle were met with blank stares or worse, awkward silences. The press had become cheerleaders, reporting only what they were allowed to see. Then came the event at the Capitol. A public appearance by the president. A massive crowd had gathered, cameras everywhere. Sarah knew this was her moment. She had to see it for herself, up close. She pushed her way through the crowd as Kazarin took the stage. His voice echoed across the square, warm and commanding. He waved to the masses, his smile perfect. Everything about him was perfect. And then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw it. One of his aides, someone always by his side since his recovery, was moving through the crowd. At first glance, she looked like any other staffer, but then Sarah saw the woman's movements. They were wrong, too smooth, too precise, like a puppet on invisible strings. Suddenly, Sarah felt a hand clamp down on her shoulder. She spun around, her breath catching in her throat as she came face to face with Helios. This time he was unmasked, standing in the open, eyes cold and calculating. "Sarah," he said, his voice a low, menacing growl. "You shouldn't be here. What do you want from me?" she demanded, defiance rising within her. Helios leaned in, a sinister smile creeping across his face. "You're close, but it's too late. You think you can stop this? They've already won. No one will believe you." The crowd cheered as Kazarin spoke, a practiced cadence spilling from his lips. Sarah felt a surge of panic. The people around her were enthralled, their eyes glimmering with adoration. It was a performance, and she was the only one not clapping. "You're wrong," she spat, her voice steady despite her fear. "I will make them see the truth." Helios chuckled softly, the sound chilling. "You don't understand. They won't let you. If you dig too deep, you'll disappear like all the others." Determination ignited within Sarah. "I won't let you or anyone else silence me." Before he could respond, she broke away and sprinted toward the stage, desperation driving her. She had to warn the crowd, she had to expose the truth. But as she reached the front, her heart dropped. Kazarin was staring straight at her, his gaze piercing. The crowd's cheers faded into a deafening silence as he stepped closer, a knowing smile on his lips. "You don't know what you're fighting against, do you?" he said, voice dripping with false sincerity. "You're out of your depth, Sarah. Stop!" she shouted, her voice trembling with urgency. "You're not who you say you are." But the moment hung heavy in the air, an oppressive tension thickening between them. Kazarin raised a brow, feigning surprise, and then the corners of his mouth curled up into a smirk. "Do you really think anyone will believe a single word you say? You're just a voice lost in the crowd." Suddenly Sarah felt cold hands grab her arms from behind, pulling her away. Helios had returned, his grip ironclad, and she realized too late that her defiance had drawn them out. "Let me go!" she screamed, thrashing against his hold, but he was too strong. Kazarin leaned closer, his voice dropping to a sinister whisper. "You've already lost, Sarah. You're part of this narrative now, whether you realize it or not. We have no use for rebels." With that, the crowd roared back to life, cheering their president, blissfully unaware of the dark truth unfolding before them. Sarah's heart sank as Helios pulled her away, retreating into the shadows, the president's smile lingering in her mind like a haunting spectre. As she was led away, something shifted in her gut, a terrifying realization. They were indeed everywhere, infiltrating the very essence of their society. But she would not allow them to silence her. The truth had to be revealed no matter the cost. They may have replaced others, but she remained untouched, and her fire would burn brighter than their shadows. In the depths of her mind, a plan began to form, a way to turn the tide and make the world see. In the echo of cheers, the true battle had only just begun.